prepared to not have are we prepared as people to do without some of the things we need to do in order to get that balance?
Maybe some of the things we have we don't need. We don't want them anymore.
Well, that's the difference.
It's healthy.
It's
It's healthy for us to have this chance to cut out the fat.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope you'll read your reports because it's your money. It's the money that they take from us and then waste, and we need to hold government accountable. So
How do we do that? How do we hold them accountable?
You call Carlos.
Vote
You
them
call
out.
Carlos and say, Carlos,
Yes, but they
I
don't listen.
see. And then you go to the poll and you say, Carlos, you're out of here.
Alright.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Go ahead.
Well, they use they can't send the people home because they divide the families. Well, I figured they divided their family when they came up here.
They can take the family with them.
Yeah, they're the ones that divided their families.
And actually, the federal government is actually bringing tens of thousands of refugees from third world countries who they're not even counting them as immigrants. They're saying they're just refugees, and they're not even applying immigration law to them. And in the Twin Cities, they're like in Minneapolis and in St. Paul, they brought in 80,000 people from Ethiopia and Somalia and resettled 80,000 people. They brought them over on airliner after airliner after airliner. Most of the people have no jobs. They resorted to crime, preying on each other, and now they're killing American citizens back there and causing a problem. And we've just started to see a trickle of it here in Idaho. You probably noticed the cover of the Idaho Statesman a few weeks ago. They had an immigrant from Uganda right on the front page, and he was upset because he didn't have a job.
Well, the Mexicans are upset too.
Yeah.
But these people aren't even they're not even being counted as immigrants. They're being given a place to live. Another facility, I believe it's in South Dakota, they built a huge housing complex for them, and each refugee was given a budget of $274,000 to live off of. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
We have to stop this from That's what's so frustrating. You hear this stuff and it's like a maddening.
One of the things that I think that frustrates me is that I really love my mom and my dad, and I really love people that came from an earlier time than myself, and they've endured sacrifice, and they've endured the transition that this country has gone through, and I just wish there was a way to be able to give back to them. And if we were going to be working, if there were any part of this country where we would be working on our heartstrings, it would be able to, if there was something that I would do, it would be to be able to take care of the elderly folks that are having a rough time taking care of themselves. And forget the Mexicans, forget the Ugandans, forget this. You know what? We got to take care of our own.
Yeah.
You know? We really do.
Yes.
Charity starts at home first.
It does.
Right.
And this border situation that they have the same problem on the Canadian border. It just doesn't get any attention of the people coming in from Canada on the East Coast. There's a huge amount of illegal aliens come in over our northern border, but it just gets ignored.
But are they Canadians or are they other are they other races stuff coming in across?
The others go to
the other
Canada,
countries-
and they come in the United States from Canada.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what I seen when I was out east truck driving, that there was a lot of diversification of other nations, and I thought there was probably a lot of illegals in it, but they were coming from Canada.
Right.
Because it's easier to get into Canada, isn't it, than it is to the United States?
Yeah.
People coming into our country, they don't realize what we went through. I went through the Great Depression. I remember it very well. I remember when they were taking over these countries like Poland and all that. We saw on TV, we had TV already. We saw these men hanging from trees where, Russians, were invading the countries. And the young people today don't know anything about this. Well, we saw firsthand. I remember when we used to have blackouts and everything when the World War II was on. And, kids don't know anything about the people coming into our country. And we had people on the, out on the ocean trying to get in and all of that stuff.
Zach and I were at the store the other day, and this lady came up to me. She's a great, cute little thing. You could just fit her right here, And I don't know where she came from. I don't know. I think she was a blessing to me from somewhere, but she dropped a little reality in my lap, and she said, oh, is that, we were looking at a suit for him, and she said, oh, that would look really good on you, or something like that. And so she looked up at me, she said, so what do you do? And I said, well, I decided I'm going to run for state legislature. She goes, oh, good for you. Are you Republican or Democrat? And I said, well, I'm kind of reluctant. I kind of said, well, I'm registered as a Republican. She goes, oh, that's really good. She goes, I pray every day that Obama. She said, my dad was killed in, she came from Bavaria. She said, I'm from Bavaria, and I watched my father being killed, my father was killed for failure to join the Nazi army. And I said, so you're seeing quite an interesting scenario play out over here, aren't you? She goes, yeah. She goes, I pray every day people wake up because he's a communist. And it's coming again. And so Zach and I walked out of there with tears in our eyes. We were like, oh man.
That's another thing the kids aren't, there's a lot of them don't even know what communism is.
Yeah.
They don't know how awful it is. They don't know what they're losing.
Yeah.
They don't know what they have.
Right. Sorry about that. I see you wave a couple of
All right, I just want to say a word about, we're talking about our economy, and right in our own area, people are still losing their homes. Banks are foreclosing on them, and they don't have any job, or they have to move clear to Timbuktu someplace to get something that pays them decently. And yet here we've got gas and oil in this country. If they would just drop the gas prices like they were a few months back when we had all this crisis supposedly started, that Bush was supposed to be the sponsor of and all that kind of stuff. If they would drop the gas price down to 75 cents a gallon or something like that, the economy would just go ballistic. 90%, I don't know how many percent it is of the stuff that's manufactured in this country, especially plastics, is petroleum products and all of this kind of stuff. But now we've got an administration that just because of these poor unfortunate miners that lost their lives, God rest their soul, and then this oil rig out in the Texas Gulf or wherever it was that now sunk and 25 people. Well, now our administration seems to think they got to put a whole bunch of regulations on that. Day by day, the gas prices are going up. I've noticed that, like 2 cents a week. It's starting to go up, and the next thing you know, we're going to be up at $5 a gallon, and everybody's going to be on their knees. And not only can't they find a job, but they can't afford to drive and get an interview, for crying out loud. And then my wonderful friend over here, Bo Burke, sends me these outrageous, maddening emails.
She makes them up.
Bless her heart. And I found out, maybe from her, I don't know, maybe from somebody else, that in Montana and Wyoming, we've got an oil field up there. There's a name for it. I don't know what it is, but it's got enough oil up there, more oil than all the Arabs and Irans and everything put together. And there's hardly one drill going up there in those places because we've got these regulations where we not only don't tell people that it's up there, but we keep subjugating ourselves to these Arabs that treat women terrible and all of this, and they hate us because of their Muslim beliefs, etc., etc. Why we can't get out of that and be on our own and drill those places, get the gas down, our economy in that one little aspect, I think would just go right through the roof. Transportation would go, cruise ships could get their gas. Everybody would just be, just that one thing alone would stir things up.